share group locally pretty hardcore too. So that's kind of our setup. 71 units. Next year have the goal of 125.
I love it. Well, congrats. Okay, 125 next year. I have no doubt that will happen. Let's see, Michael and Rebecca, who are a husband and wife team here.
So I'll talk about our structure, and then Michael could do the production.
Perfect.
We have a team of 5 or 6, depending on who's working that day. We have a buyer's agent, transaction coordinator. You can get transaction coordinators now in SkySlope if you're interested. And then we have some ISA, myself, which I primarily do the marketing and business planning, take on some of the
here.
Jobs for
I'll talk about our
home inspections and you know, just working through the contract. And Michael is our team lead rainmaker. I've been in the business about 3 decades and really concentrate on education and building the team. Really just love the Realtor brand.
Gosh, that's fantastic. 3 decades. You have seen a lot.
This is true. We've gone through a few cycles. But you know what? I still believe in the future and just feel young at heart and young for our industry. It just has so much to offer to the public. So it's awesome being a realtor.
Okay, so Michael, units or volume?
This is always fun always fun with Rebecca and I. So, so I've been in the business 15 years, going on 40. And Rebecca recruited me back when I thought I was going to get into an easy retirement career from my IT career, and boy was I shocked. I tell you what, real estate and making markets is no piece of cake, and I'll just say that out there for everybody. But there are some quotes out there that I like to share. The one, Calvin Coolidge has some pretty cool quotes, and he basically says that that nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. And so I realized that persistence in real estate is what will pay off. And so don't buy all these schemes out there that are going to get you easy money in your pocket, and you know, stay away from them and stick to persistence. We're going to do about 45 units this year, be about 15 million. Rebecca and I are just started talking about 2019. We're going to highly engage the 12-week year, which I have not read yet, but Rebecca has. And so I'm not sure if we'll set annual goals or we're going to set 12-week goals. But if I had to set an annual one right now, we were pretty happy with what we accomplished, and so I would go ahead and do 20 for next year. 20 million and 50 units would be a good number.
Love it. Love it. You'll love the 12-week. It just makes so much sense. If you guys have not read that book, I highly recommend it. That's awesome. All right, perfect. Jeremy, do we have your mic yet?
Yes, I am here. Sorry for the delay. I had some connection issues.
No problem whatsoever. All right. Number of units or volume you did this year, your setup for your team, and then your 2019 goals.
Okay, so volume this year is right at 72 units closed. I would think we're right at 19, just under 20 million on volume. Our setup is myself as a team leader. I've got a transaction coordinator, office manager, and we've got 5 agents that we have recently brought on the team. And that production is just my production. We're at about 22, 23 million if we include team production. And goal next year, individual goal is 100 closed transactions, and team goal is 150 closed.
Nice, nice. No doubt you'll achieve that as well. Okay, so I wanted to ask a few questions that, you know, kind of sort of peel away the first layer, what we all see kind of every day. I'd like to look under the hood a little bit, if you don't mind. So my first question for each of you is, what are you doing in your business each and every day or weekly that most agents don't see you doing, and or they're not willing to do themselves? Obviously, you're speculating a little bit here, but in your opinion, what are you doing that most agents aren't doing, or they just would be surprised to see if they could see sort of behind the scenes? So I'm going to start with Wendy.
Okay, so I answer my phone. I know that sounds very simplistic.
Oh my gosh, write that down, guys. That's a good one.
We joke about it on our team a lot because we do answer the phone. So, you know, phone calls, if they are missed, are forwarded on immediately to somebody else. I really focus on getting belly to belly with other human beings. I feel like being accountable to that kind of schedule and getting in front of other humans, I make connections with them a lot quicker than I can on the phone or on the computer. So, you know, just getting out there. And the other thing would be asking for the business. We pretty much trained our sphere of contacts to send us business, and they do that on a really good. I feel like I have a bunch of bird dogs out in the community that are just referring stuff all the time.
I love that one. Thank you, Wendy. Gosh, it's something I see a lot from agents, that somewhere along the way, do we feel like as agents, our business is only legit if somebody calls us and gives it to us? Like somehow by us asking for it in some way, it's less than, which is just insane to me. So thank you for saying that. That's a great one. Love it. Okay, Rebecca and or Michael. Same question.
I like doing the rhythm of business. And with the rhythm of business, it's a time management system that I also use space management. So when I'm making phone calls, I'm in one location, and I know that I'm dialing out when I'm working on the computer or doing marketing in another location. And then my rhythm of business, I assign it like every Monday, this is what I'm going to do, because I can put that on a weekly schedule, or some things may only be on a monthly schedule. But when you write it all out and then you look at it over time or each day, then you see things that don't pass you by because it's written down. So for instance, once a month, you know, I might review our MLS listings and make sure all the pictures are up to date, that we don't have summertime pictures, you know, when it's Christmas, or Christmas time pictures in the summer. You know, review your MLS, review your comments. You know, weekly, we might reach out to our customers. Daily, I reach out, you know, and make the phone calls. So having that rhythm of business, and however it works for you, whether it's morning or evenings, is just changing my world. It's making my life less complicated in that I pre-plan.
That's very cool. And the space management is super interesting. So is that sort of just like an actual like physical extension of the idea of time blocking, right?
Right. And it kind of cues your body, because I know that when I'm here, this is what I do. It started with Michael going into the garage, actually hitting the, what's that called, Michael? The bag. And so he'd get
Heavy
all
bag.
pumped up. And then he could talk to clients, because you want to be all pumped up. And so I'm going like, that's a great idea. So mine is different. Mine is near the light, near the windows, where I have a desk, but, you know, minimize any papers around me. And I can get
Yes.
up, walk around, look out the window, and it's very inspiring.
So cool. Michael, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I would, so with Rebecca, I would agree with the minimization. So the problem with me right now is my heavy bag is all full of stuff around it, so I can't get to it. It's in the garage, and so I need to minimize to get my power space back. But I'm going to type in what I just made a comment. I believe in depth, not breadth, for power relationships.
Tell
So
me more about that.
so basically, deep relationships. It's back to what Wendy was talking about the bird dogs. Is if you can build, think about this. This is like compounding. So everybody's heard the word compounding before, right? But I don't know if we've heard of the word compounding business, right? So if you want to add that term to your repertoire for new agents, if you get one bird dog out there, well, then next year you get two, and the year after that you get three, and you keep them all, just like Wendy had discovered, and then your business compounds. So you're getting referrals from those people more and more, and you're still getting them from the first one. Now you're getting from the second. Now you're getting from the third. That's how business grows.
I love that. I love that. Hey, Jeremy, same question. What are you doing every day or on a consistent basis that other agents aren't doing, or that we'd be surprised to see you doing?
One thing I noticed that a lot of agents are not doing is really being intentional with their time every single day, and kind of mapping it out. So what I like to do is I will plan my day out, and I call it plan, execute, and reflect. So I'll plan my day out the previous evening, and I really am intentional with every minute of the day. So I know what time I'm waking up, what time I'm getting home from the gym, what I'm doing between the time I get home from the gym and the time I leave the house, and just staying super intentional with that. So planning the day out the night before, and then executing that plan the next day to the second. Like, I want to make sure that nothing gets on my calendar unintentionally. And if something does get on my calendar, I've got everything written down that I'm going to be doing that day, and it's all time blocked out. So I can refer back to that schedule and kind of get back on track. So planning the night before, executing that plan during the day, and then at night, right before I plan the next day, I'm going to reflect on what I did that day. Like, was the day a win? Did something get on my schedule that wasn't supposed to be there? If so, was it a distraction? How do I stop that from happening? And just doing that same thing over and over and over again. And I find that if I don't do that, I'm lost that day. Like, as diligent as I am with it, is sometimes it doesn't happen. And I know when I'm not doing that, because I'm off track and I'm not as productive as I am when I do that. So planning, executing, and reflecting is something that I do daily.
Perfect. Do you seem to have, if I asked you what your priorities were through that plan, execute, reflect process, do you have one priority, two priorities, many priorities?
Yeah. So, the priorities are, I guess, situational, depends on what's going on. But generally speaking, the highest priorities are customer service and prospecting. So I want to make sure that every day both of those things are on that calendar. I find that when we stop prospecting, because we get so busy with our business, that's when we head into those valleys. So prospecting is, I would say, probably the number one priority, and then also customer service right behind that. And the reason why I put them in that order is because if I'm not prospecting, I don't have customers to provide excellent customer service to, then I can have the best customer service in the world and it won't matter because nobody will know it. So always prospecting first, and then making sure that we're providing a 5-star level of service to our clients. And whether that's communicating on how the transaction is going, or working on our systems and processes to make sure that they're dialed in, that's definitely number two.
I bet if we asked any number of the ICON agents that passed through this stage over the last year, that they would have the same feeling about the priority of prospect. Think that would be one of the big differences. Would you agree? With most agents will prioritize customer service because they feel like it's right in front of them and they must do it, and it's what's getting you to the next paycheck. And the irony of that is that what you just stated, if we're not working on prospecting, we will have no customer service to give, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, I listened to a guy named Grant Cardone. I'm very big on developing my mind and self-development. So I listened to this guy, and he actually kind of brought that home for me, because I was the other way, where I was like, man, I need to provide excellent customer service. And I was allowing things to get on my calendar that was taken away from prospecting. And when he said something in one of his Audible books that I listened to, it just hit home. And it's so right. We all get caught in that trap, but if you're not prospecting, there's going to come a point in time where you're not going to have clients to provide a customer service to. And so customer service is not our problem. It's a lack of clients that's our number one problem in our businesses.
Jeremy,
Excellent.
do you remember the name of that book?
Oh, there's several. So
Uh-huh.
I can't remember which one he said it in, but it was probably 10X.
10X.
Yeah, it was probably 10X, and there's a few others. Sell or Be Sold, and Be Obsessed or Be Average. Those are probably the top three. I can't remember exactly which book that quote was in, but all three of those books are amazing.
All right, next question. Wendy, you're teed up again here. If I waved a magic wand and took away all of your current database and all of your past clients, how would you start rebuilding your business? Is there one tactic that you would use to kind of set yourself back on a path to high production?
It's interesting because I've thought about that a lot. Like, because there's a lot of agents that, let's be honest, move around the country for one reason or the other. That hasn't been my scenario, but I always do think about that. And one of the reasons that I'm really excited about Michael and Rebecca's class, because pricing has been in my gut since the very beginning. I came into this business a CD personality. That was the kind of the first thing that I went for the throat on, was about pricing strategies and really honing my craft on that, to where that was the thing that I was super, super confident. On a listing appointment, I knew how to price that property. And I feel like any of us, if we had access to somebody else's MLS, because I'm confident in pricing, that I could extract the information that I needed out of an MLS system and walk into anybody's property anywhere in the country and have some sort of idea on how to price that property. So I think as far as pricing strategies goes, that's the one thing. So if I had access to your MLS, I could help you price a property, and I don't care where you are.
Got it. You've got it down to a science, huh? What about prospecting tactic? What would you
So as
do
far
up?
as finding clients in an area, because I feel super confident about pricing, I would probably go out and meet people. So I would probably join a networking group, create one, and go out and meet some of the people that surround our industry that I felt like were aligned with me, ethically and values wise. So I would probably have a lot of coffee appointments with people and getting to know people in a new area, and just kind of find out who I aligned with and start networking through those people. I might join a chamber of commerce. But the main thing would be to get out and meet other humans within the community. And maybe
Yes.
that starts, at church. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
You meet
Wherever.
people in different places throughout your community. But if I were basically dropped somewhere strange, I am pretty confident that I would be able to get out and meet people, know how to price properties in the area, and that I would get out and network with some people that I thought aligned with what I was doing in the area, and kind of basically rebuild.
Yeah, excellent. Michael and Rebecca, same question. If you had nothing, if I took away everything from you, where would you start?
So we have a course that we taught in Wisconsin called 50 Intentional Collisions. And
Cool.
I went on one the other day. Rebecca doesn't know this, but I'm always looking at cars. And so when I'm by myself, I always stop by these car dealerships and test drive cars. And then I talk to the people there. And so the other day, the intentional collisions, this guy, Akeem, he's looking to buy some land, because basically what happens is you collide with people. And the way we've had a lot of success other than doing that is you buy and sell things, and you get a greater degree of connection. And so we've sold people's houses where we bought their refrigerator. We've gained clients from selling them our old cars. Anytime, this is the key thing, anytime that you get a bit more of a connection with a person than normal, that leaves the door open to talk real estate. And so another intentional collision is going to community yard sales. They welcome you right up to their home and they want you to buy things for 50 cents. Well, return on that is quite awesome. So we actually have some people that we know their schedule of moving just by buying our grandkid a $5 toy. So if I had to do it right away, I would just go right to the 50 intentional collisions and just go right down the list. And that goes right back to what Wendy was talking about, which is go meet people. And so we
Right.
just have a list of strategic ways to go meet people. And, it works over and over again.
Oh my gosh, that's
And-
awesome. I did hear one the other, I'm sorry, Rebecca. I heard one also, instead of using the bank drive-through, go into the bank. Same sort of thing you're talking about, right? Like taking those everyday opportunities and enhancing them for collision opportunities.
Exactly. You got to meet the people.
So that's cool.
Right.
Rebecca.
I call it go fast slowly. And for instance, not going in the drive-through, but going into the bank. So meeting people is so important. And if you're being very intentional and want to get into sales, then I would say meet people in a particular community. You do want to be a market expert. So learning a particular subdivision, being the expert, you can be so much more an expert even than an experienced person if you just take the time to view those listings, to watch that market, to go to that grocery store or that HOA. And another thing that we're beginning, because it doesn't even have to be that you don't have any business, we're always looking to start new ways and new ideas, is the senior HOA associations. They're just looking for people to come in and tell them things and give a buyer presentation or a seller presentation, bring in some cookies and donuts. And it's just, you have to go. And that's why we're called the Go Straley Group, is because we have to get out of the house. You have to get out of the house to meet people. And even if you're taking your computer in public places like the courthouse or the hospital, it doesn't have to be in a Panera Bread, and your timing. We go to Starbucks sometimes and work at 6 o'clock in the morning because all of our commuter friends are coming through between 6 and 7:30. And so if we're there at Starbucks at 6 to 7:30, we'll probably run into 5 to 10 people
I love
that
it.
we know from the community.
I love that. Putting yourself right in the way of business right there, or opportunities. Very
Right,
cool.
in the way of business. I like.
Jeremy, what would you do if I stripped away everything you've ever worked for and plopped you down in the middle of Oklahoma in Wendy's Market?
That's funny that I just team up with Wendy.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Wendy.
Smart. See,
Boom.
icon
Me
agents
too, me
think
too.
differently. I like it.
That's funny. So it's funny because my business is only 2 years old. I've only been in full time for 2 years, so this is kind of fresh for us. And I'll just kind of run through what we did because I was really in this situation. Like the others mentioned, is getting in front of people, and getting people to know you, like you, and trust you. What I did was I focused on open houses. I identified an area that had a relatively high turnover, and I created that as my farm area and did a lot of door knocking. So just a lot of hard work, getting out there, meeting people, sticking to the process, understanding that you're going to get a lot of no's and not letting that distract you, and doing open houses. I would do 2 open houses a weekend. I would door knock during the weekdays, and I would just constantly be getting out there. If you don't have listings, which you wouldn't when you first got there, there's a lot of different resources for open houses. You can hold other agents' houses open, for sell by owner houses open. There's a ton of opportunity to get out there, even new construction. You can go to the new construction. That's probably something I would implement as well, is start developing relationships with the sales agents at new construction sites. I get a lot of referrals from them. There's a lot of times buyers
Right.
will walk in there and they don't have representation, and the sales agent may not allow you to represent them on the purchase, but they may refer you for the sale. if that buyer has a home to sell. So that basically those three things: door knocking in the farm area. Oh, another one I'll throw in there is advertising on Facebook in that farm area, and just saturating the person that they see all the time on their Facebook feed, seeing your ads, seeing your face constantly over and over and over again, and developing the brand, door knocking, open houses, and getting with sales agents of new construction.
And
Hey,
when you're door
Jeremy,
knock, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremy, while you're on that, Sonny's asking, like, how do you gain trust? So one of the ways when I first began, I did that whole sales agent thing, because think about it, it's just like the yard sales. Like, the builder sales agents love when a person comes in the door, regardless of whether it's an agent or a prospect. A lot of times they have slow spots, so they're very welcoming unless they're overwhelmed with the contract. So easy to go around, know all the sales agents. You might get a listing like I did on one of my first tries from the builder. You don't always do that, but guess what? They're in touch with a lot of people, and so the key is to meet people, but better than that is to meet people that meet more people, right? And that's what you did.
Yep.
And so, Sonny, if you're looking to gain trust and experience, you can go in there and just interview all the sales agents, figure out how many prospects they're seeing a week. That'll help you learn the new home market. That'll make you an expert in new homes. And all you have to do is go around and visit them and gather data. So gather that data and you will become your market expert in your area on new homes. And so guess what? That'll make you the expert, and that'll give people the ability to trust you. So that's your homework assignment in your area, Sonny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I just want to add a little bit on that for Sunny too. I would highly recommend you lead with value. Don't a lot of
Totally.
agents go into those new construction salespeople and they're asking for things, and stand out. Do something that you're gonna lead with value, and input deposit into that person before you ever ask for something from them. So maybe you're bringing them some statistics that would help them
Beautiful.
in their
Yeah.
business, or you're just being a resource for them and developing that relationship, and that's how you're going to gain that trust and,
Yeah,
and
so
develop. Go
and
ahead.
to add further on that, Jeremy, so here's specific for you, Sonny. If you go around in 10 builders and you know that each builder is getting, let's say, 8 prospects visiting a week, and then get specific, and you can say how many on Saturday, how many on Sunday. Well, when you go to the next builders, you don't have to say by name, but you can say, hey, the builders in the area are averaging this much. You can ask them questions like, what's working the best for you? And then you can start going around sharing and adding value that you parlayed from the other ones. Now, you be a little bit careful with that. You're not going to give away, anything confidential. I mean, they told you, but, you just be, I guess, courteous about it, so that you're not breaking any trust with anybody. But it's brilliant. And I love the leading with value, Jeremy, and you collect the value.
That's an overarching theme here amongst all of you guys in many of your answers, is coming from contribution and delivering value first. And we as agents use all the wrong kind of language. If you think about it, we talk about getting a listing or taking a listing, or I need to get a deal, or we use this take language. And
Yeah,
if we
beautiful.
flip our switch in our mind and begin to just exist in this industry for the spirit of helping, contributing, giving our expertise and advice, and helping people get what they want. All of you guys have mentioned that in some form or the other. So I hope everybody has kind of noticing that might not be screaming as obvious as some of the other aspects of your answers. Well, good
And
job.
Monica, we changed our listing appointment. I just posted to listening appointment. And we tell people that when we go in and we're starting to talk about their home, is as we walk up to your door, we're saying, like, we're here to listen, and then we'll talk, but we can't really offer till we know what they want.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And Amy Brookhammer uses marketing strategy session. She also has changed the listing appointment, because that's such like a giving thing, like we're giving them something. And the marketing strategy session and your listening appointment is way more consultative. I love that. Good one. All right, cool. So Wendy, back to you. Next question. Do you ever have days where you just literally do not feel like doing what you know you need to be doing? And if so, what techniques or tricks of the trade do you use to help you get back on track, stay on track, or regain focus?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I've been down sick this week. So I think that everybody's going to feel that way. But I think pretty early on in my career, I found that if I started out the day praying, meditating, and focusing specifically on some really positive things that were going to happen, and I post on Facebook a little bit about that, that if I started out really positive each day, that things kind of fell into place. I'm also really a big deal with my calendar. So if it's not on my calendar, it literally doesn't exist in my world. So things that are put on my calendar, sometimes get moved around, obviously, but I am a slave to that calendar. So that's really important to me. So after I've moved on past what I'm focusing on in the morning as far as positivity goes, I move on to that. Now, if I feel like I'm getting in a slump, sometimes fresh air does help. I would have to say sunshine and taking a walk is very helpful, but you really have to get your mind right if you're going to be a business owner in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that is any different in our business than it is for any other business. So you have to find that drive inside you, and you have to be really passionate about what you're doing. And I'm not sure if you succeed on the highest level unless you're not passionate about it. So if you aren't passionate about what you're doing, I encourage you to go out and find out what you are passionate about, because I believe that there is a niche for every person in this business.
Yes, good. Awesome. Rebecca and Michael, same question.
Well, I love the passion. And when I was like 17, I realized I could do anything or sell anything that I believe in and that I'm passionate about. But then also sometimes we do have that regeneration that we need to do. And so we can't always be on top of the world. And I think it's nice to be able to accept that maybe today I'm not going to get everything done that I had planned. Maybe I'll go into a more menial task and just clean my desk or clean my closet. Sometimes it's okay to take a little bit of time to regenerate yourself. And what I had found on the long-term scale is, how do you regenerate yourself and how often do you need to do this? So for me, I need a 3 or 4 day weekend every quarter. So I don't have to go on 2-week vacations or spend a lot of money, but I need 3 or 4 down days that I'm just with family or with Michael or writing and taking care of the house, whatever it may be that your interest is. And then I'm good again for the next quarter. And so plan your vacations or plan your time away so that you can regenerate and build that battery.
Perfect. Yeah, as Wendy says, put your vacations on your schedule first. Sure. Michael, anything to add to that great answer?
I'd say don't fight it. Sometimes you're like Rebecca said, your body and your flow is telling you what to do. So put it this way: when you get into the zone, like you can accomplish sometimes monumental accomplishments and influences, and so get in that zone. The other way I would say is I through some of my studies, I encountered this guy named Lee Ivy, who consulted to Charles Schwab, and I started running my day like 6 most important things of the day, putting them at the top. I run my day like a blog now, and so there's probably 40 other things that could be done, but those 6 I always sort them to the top. So it's like a constant resorting. When you're fortunate, what happens is some of those 50 down below, somebody else either accomplishes them or they dissipate into nothing. And so I try not to even look at them and do the most important things. And that really helps me get past some of those. I don't feel like doing anything because I'm really just focused on one thing. I think we're all overwhelmed with too many things to do, too many choices. And that blog, all I use is the whole Mac notepad thing. And that's how I run my life.
Right. Let me dig a little there. Because many of us feel like we do the easy things first, the things at the bottom of that list, because it gives us great satisfaction to
True.
cross stuff off the list. Was that your default at some point and you had to sort of reprogram?
I did
or-
reprogram because I always used to teach the kids, do the easy things first, because then if you hurt yourself on the big ones, at least you got some easy stuff done. The problem that we encounter is some of those easy things turn into hard things, like some little easy task. We all know this. It takes you an hour to do, but if you pick it up sometime later, it may take you a minute. I don't know. There's some phenomenon sometimes that easy isn't really easy, and it's about timing. So the great thing about this method is that this gentleman engaged Bethlehem Steel, and he got them to change their behavior, and their productivity went up 20 to 30%, and he made like $500,000 on his consulting with Charles Schwab. So
by this concept, by getting people to switch the way they operate their list.
And you can actually, you can find that if you do a little research. I'm sure that it's the Google of Lee Ivy, Charles Schwab, Bethlehem Steel. I started it just last year actually, and it's been a really fun way to live, because when those 6 things are done, then you can choose to go on to the rest, or you can just finish your day. It's up to you.
Great. Jeremy, anything to add there for you as far as embracing the human nature to not feel great about every single day's tasks?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're human and we all have emotion and go through those things. I think the first thing just to realize is that we are all our own worst critic, and we're going to be harder on ourselves than anybody we love is going to be on us. And that's a challenge to deal with, you know. And I think first of all, giving ourselves the freedom to fail, you know, because we're all going to fail, whether we consider not getting all of our to-dos done a failure, or just not feeling it that day a failure. You know, we have to give ourselves permission to fail, and then also understanding why we're doing what we're doing. You know, it goes way deeper than just the surface. Hey, I'm doing this because I want to run a business and I want to make money. You know, we all have a deeper why than that. So understanding what our why is daily, having our dream board in front of us, knowing that we don't want to give up what we want most for what we want now. And that's a quote by my mentor and coach. And he says, hey, never sacrifice what you want most for what you want now. And to me, that's something that I think about daily, because we get in those ruts. And right now I just want to take a nap, you know, or right now I just want to get off this computer. I don't want to make these phone calls. And that's what I want right now. But the bigger picture is I want financial freedom. I want to be able to send my kids to college and not have them worry about student loans. I want to be able to take vacations. I want to know that when I get older, I'm not a burden on my kids financially. So understanding those whys and the end goal has really helped me to just muscle through those times. But like the other said, you know, sometimes it's better to just withdraw, you know, if you're not feeling it. And I have these days where I know that if I get on those phones, it's not gonna produce any fruit, because my mind is just not there. So then I'm gonna take that time, still prospect, but prospect in a different way, or just work on my business instead of working in it for that period of time. So there's always something we can do to flip that time to kind of suit where our mind is at that period of time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
It does
Jeremy.
make sense.
Yeah, question for you. Do you ever feel like you could possibly cause more damage than good. Um, sometimes.
On those days?
I guess it could depend on what the situation is. As far as prospecting, no. Um, I don't feel like that because if I'm prospecting somebody who's not a client, I can't lose them. You know, they're not a client. But there
Right.
are sometimes like if I'm negotiating a contract, let's say we're in a repair negotiation and I'm having just a bad day and I'm like tell my kids I'm taking L's all day and I'm frustrated and I know that and I go on get into a phone call with this agent and we're going back and forth over something, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
My mood or my mindset at that time could do more harm than it could do good. And I have to just realize that and withdraw and not have that conversation at that time. So yeah.
Right.
And sometimes a no is an answer, you know, or not answering is an answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, for failing big for me is a big thing. Like one of the books that I had read early on was Go for No. It's a really
Love it.
simple read, simple sales book. But man, that changed my world because I am all about failing forward. Because the more I fail every day, the more I succeed, which just means I'm giving myself more opportunities.
Yeah. And then if you look at I'm big on looking at people that have done amazing things in their life and not comparing, but just looking at them and what the things that they've gone through. And any professional athlete, take Michael Jordan, for instance, you know, how many shots he's missed compared to how many shots that he's made, or how many games that they've lost compared to how many championships they won. I mean, we all fail and we're all going to fail. That's just part of life. But like you said, just knowing that and using that as momentum to fail forward is huge. It's a big mental shift when you can just accept that and use them as power to move forward.
Perfect. Okay, couple short questions or questions with short answers, and then I'm going to wrap up with a final question. Um, so, Wendy, sounded like you tipped us off on a little bit that you have a morning routine. What time do you get up in the morning?
This year has been a little different for me, honestly, Monica. I had back surgery in June. So to me, my morning routine is not exactly what it used to be. I used to be a 5 a.m.er. Right now, I'm about a 6 a.m.er. Things have changed a little bit for me. So the morning routine looks like get up, have the coffee, do the planning, kind of strategize, and then do a little bit of mental focusing. And sometimes that's some of the positivity things that I was telling you about. And then sometimes it's just quiet time, you know, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be for a really long time. I mean, we're talking about probably 20 minutes or less.
Kind of just gauge like what you feel you need for that morning.
Yeah, it centers me back to where I need to be focused on, and it brings me back into focusing on what the highest and best activities. Because my goal from the very beginning of starting in this business is who needs to buy or sell a house today. I focus on the today people every day, and I start the same way every day. Who is going to buy or sell today? That person's my focus. Then I move on from them.
Perfect. Jeremy, what time do you get up in the morning?
I'm up at 4 a.m.
Okay. Rebecca and Michael, what time do you get up in the morning?
I sleep in. I think it's the privilege of being an entrepreneur, and I'm more of a getting things organized in my personal life. And so sometimes I lay there and contemplate, and I wake up at 5, but I might not get up till 7 or 8 and think about the day and think about what I want to get done, kind of tidy up the house before I jump into the work. But I'm a afternoon, evening person.
Got it. Okay. Michael, what about you?
So Rebecca gets the coffee from me because I get up early. and it's in the Bible under Hebrews chapter 1. And I love getting up early. I have so much energy. I'm in the zone early on, focused. And I think that the important thing is to find that what works for you, because you can get 10x done sometimes if you're working in your zone. And Jeremy brought up something that a famous person once said: comparison is the thief of joy. And
Yep.
that's Theodore Roosevelt, but also one of our famous people in EXP says that a lot, Valerie Easter. And so the key here, and Wendy mentioned this early on, the key here is learning about the engine of your business, which is you, and don't compare yourself or beat yourself up. Find that zone that works for you and what type of activity in that zone. And that's when you're going to be most effective with your business.
Absolutely. Okay, perfect. Okay, last question. We'll do the round robin. What are you working on right now that is not perfect in your world? What will you be focusing on, in other words, maybe in 2019, that despite your success, is still not perfect? And I'm going to guess that you guys each have a few of those. And I thought that would be a good question to show everybody that, it doesn't have to all be perfect to achieve the level of production that you guys have. So Wendy, you want to start with that?
It's interesting because I've kind of really focused on that when we're starting over with new people. So, trying to get at what people's passions are, where I feel like they'll succeed no matter what they do. And so I think if you can kind of figure that out within yourself, I am working on several things with the new girl on our team that are kind of like untested things. And I'm trying to get her in front of people that are afraid of realtors. So be that typically people that are leasing homes, that are afraid to pull their credit, that are afraid to talk to lenders. And I would say that right now she's gotten tons of leads, and she's in the middle. She's closed one deal right now from that, and she's in the middle of working on a bunch of others. So we're filling her pipeline full. Do I think it's perfect right now? Absolutely not. Are we finding people that are being talked to by other people? Absolutely. Are we talking to people that don't think they can be homeowners? Absolutely. Do we think we're doing good customer service? Yes. So I feel like we're going down the right path with this whole thing with our team. And it's something that we've always been passionate about, but really being able to connect with those people has been difficult. And now we're finding an inroad with that.
And you're finding that imperfect action is better than no action at all, then? Sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I'm trying to build icon agents. I'm trying to build other icon agents, honestly. So I'm trying to get people to tap into what they are passionate about in order to help people, to help other humans. If we're a customer service oriented industry and we're taking care of customers, we're not just transactional, that we're working with people for their lifetimes. I mean, you look at this business a little differently when you kind of tap into if that's what you're passionate about.
Love it. Rebecca and Michael, what about you guys? What are you working on right now that's not perfect in your world?
Well, I'm trying to develop systems as we're communicating with clients and not repeat the same thing that we repeat over and over as each client takes the same path to home ownership or selling their home. So we're making either programmed emails that we can personalize that answer questions. We're making a website that has frequently asked questions, and we want to do videos so that we can attach a video and explain and set expectations as we go through that buying and selling process, so that we don't have to sit there for another half hour or 45 minutes with each client that we go through. We can go, you know what? We found that many people have this situation, and I'm going to send you a video and we're going to talk about it, and then we'll see if you have questions thereafter. So just setting that system and establishing those videos. We set up a video conference center in our lower level where everything is, again, that's space blocking. That's where we do our videos. We have a certain stage and camera and lights, so we can just click the switch. And that's my goal for January, is to get that frequently asked questions on video.
Excellent. I love the efficiencies there. That's cool. Michael, anything to add?
Yep, just typed it in.
Oh.
Contractor reliability and communications just crushed me this year. Found ways to get it done, but a lot of wasted time. So rebuilding our key dependencies, and Rebecca's changing around our processes to be less reliant on them by we're gonna start do the home inspection in the beginning. I've never been a big fan of that, but after handling some of these contractor issues that we've had in a short period of time, and the economy's been better, we just really have to fix that. So we're working hard on that.
So for
Developing
instance, you're going
a
to have the
certified
inspection
home.
done. Okay, got it.
We're developing a certified home program
Got it.
where we can advertise
Perfect. So that
by
would
them.
minimize the amount of need to rely on contractors in the middle of a contract. Is that the goal?
Right. Pre-home
Yeah, there was
inspection, pre-title report.
somebody
Go
in
ahead, Mike.
Richmond actually hired somebody full-time as a contractor because they were struggling with the same issue. Obviously you have to have enough volume for that. But they were struggling the same way. I forget who that was, Rebecca, or they might have been in Norfolk, but they
Right.
hired a full-time handyman.
Tiffany.
Tiffany.
Well, that's one way
Josinas.
to get that done. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, your answer to that question. What are you working on right now that's not perfect in your world?
Well, pretty much 100% of everything. You know, nothing's ever perfect. It always requires attention. But I would say probably the biggest thing for us this year is, and Lori mentioned this earlier, Lori from Hawaii, the tracking. You know, tracking our numbers, being very intentional about where we're spending dollars, and how we're doing on our prospecting. Like, we do a lot of Facebook advertisements, and we want to know, hey, what ads are generating the best ROI, and how are our calls doing, tracking our calls, knowing our conversion rates, and seeing where our agents on our team need help, whether that's in our scripts or asking for the appointment or closing at the appointment. We're just going to track everything this year in 2019, and have a really good understanding of where we can improve where it comes to prospecting and dollars spent in the business.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay. Can you guys each type in your best contact information, and so that everybody out in the audience, if you have a referral for Jeremy in Texas, are you in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Jeremy?
Yes, ma'am. I'm out of Fort Worth.
Perfect. And Wendy, where are you in Oklahoma?
Is my mic on?
Yeah,
Okay.
now it is.
Okay, good. I'm in Oklahoma City Metro.
Perfect. So are you Sooners or Cowboys?
We live in Norman, so we are Sooners, but we have an office divided. Teresa is a Cowboys graduate.
And what is chicken fried steak? I mean, seriously, that's an Oklahoma thing, right?
It's delicious.
Yeah, it's like they hammer it out and then they batter it and fry it.
My gosh, I love it. Okay, Michael and Rebecca, did you guys put, you're in Stafford, is that right?
Right. We are in the suburbs of DC. I'm also licensed in DC, but we mostly work the southeast and west of DC.
DC. Oh,
You know,
perfect.
because it's a commuter. Virginia is a commuting, suburbs.
Of course, I love it. I used to live in Old Town, Alexandria, for a little bit.
Oh, we love Old Town. We have a family. Our son has a house on Gibbon Street up there, so
Very
it's fun
cool.
with the walkable.
Cool. Guys,
We're in the
if you have
suburbs.
any more questions for Rebecca, Michael, Wendy, or Jeremy, please find them on Workplace. I am quite sure that they would be happy to answer any additional questions. I hope you found this hour helpful. I hope you grabbed a few nuggets that you can take back and actually implement, because it's one thing for you guys to spend an hour here, and that's great. But if we're constantly just training and never implementing, what are we doing that for, right? So I hope you will get into action. It's a great time to set some new standards in your business and set some new systems. So I certainly took away some nuggets. Thank you guys very much for your time. And again, congratulations. Good luck in 2019. I know you don't really need luck, but we will wish you luck.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thanks,
Good
Monica.
effort.
And thanks everybody for being
Yeah.
here.
Thanks, Monica.
Merry
Great
Christmas,
stuff.
happy holidays. Brad, are you coming up on stage?
I am.